sometimes those unconscious biases actually go against the grain of what we consciously believe.
Hello there and welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, where midlife isn't a time of crisis but a time of metamorphosis. Just like the journey through puberty and pregnancy to postpartum, our midlife transition is also a powerful portal of rebirth. The wise woman inside of us is calling, inviting us to slow down, to take stock, to speak our truth, to burn away all that no longer serves us, ready to step forward into our next phase of life. I'm your host, Kylie Patchett, storyteller and midlife self-care coach, and together we'll unearth the real and raw stories of women who are right in the messy, magical middle, or have come out the other side, and the healers who help all of us through these crossroads of change. I hope that as you listen to these tales of breaking the ties that bind, shedding skins, and courageously chasing midlife dreams, that you too will answer the wise woman's invitation and set yourself wild and finally fucking free. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another podcast episode. I feel like I haven't recorded for months. Welcome to the beautiful Deb Johnstone. How are you, Deb?
I'm really well, thank you, Kylie. I'm so happy that you asked me to be on your podcast. Yeah, I know. Hit it off when we connected.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It was perfect. Yeah.
I feel like it's often when I'm interviewing people, I'm like, she's such a cool person. Like that, just that, that vibe connection, I think. And podcasting is so powerful for that. Like, do you ever really think about, like, I'm somewhere and you're somewhere else, and we're recording something that people all over the world will listen to? Like, that just is a bit of a mind.
Yeah, it is. And I've actually built some really great relationships by doing this kind of thing.
Definitely. Definitely. I've got lots of people. Actually, I was just saying to my husband, you know what would be cool is if I just did a world tour and just dropped into all the friends I've made through the podcast. And he's like, okay, can we write that off on tax? And I'm like, yes, we can. Anywho, I digress already. Please introduce your lovely self to the listeners that don't already know about you.
Thank you, Kylie. My name is Deb Johnstone. I'm a transformational coach, midlife transition mentor, and yoga teacher. And I work with women to help them rediscover themselves in this phase of life, to find new direction, because often we're lacking in direction when we get to this stage, and to create a life where they really thrive and really feel fulfilled. That's what I do.
Yeah. Amen. We just need to high five all of that. Talk to me more about this thrive word, because I feel like I go into hibernation mode in winter quite often, and I get my mood is generally flatter in winter. And this is not a new thing. This has been a pattern for quite some time. But I'm noticing at this also perimenopause transition kind of messy kind of period anyway, that my winter mood has started like 3 months earlier. And I just said to my husband, you know what the problem is? I don't have a project. I don't have something to pour my interest and my enthusiasm and something to get my hands into that's outside of my business. And so I slide into this overwork thing, and I'm like, I'm not thriving. This is not thriving. This is ridiculous. This is, and I think that when we talk about reinvention, like, why is it so hard for us to re-identify ourselves in midlife? Like, what do you think that, like, I mean, that's such a huge question. How long have we got? But what are some of the themes that you see when you're working with women in this stage?
I find, and this is really about being aware of the way I think as well, and the way different life experiences have affected me around who I identify as. And the most recent one is really good news, and I know we're going to talk about. But essentially what I have found is that as we move through life, we identify with different roles that we fulfill. So, whether we're someone's daughter, someone's mother, someone's aunt or friend, or even and this was a big one for me, the roles that we play in our career as well.
Yeah.
We really identify with that. So it becomes really difficult for us to see who we are outside of that when we have strongly identified. And that it really takes exploration.
Yeah.
A lot of exploration to see who we are outside of all of that, because it's only through that exploration that we can begin to start to create a new direction for ourselves around what we want to do, the kind of life that we want to live.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking about that early part of life being very much about externalized kind of measures, and I'm using the air quotes for people who are listening just in audio. So it's that shift from how does the world define and see my role, and how do I get that feeling of purpose or contribution or whatever kind of drives us. And then I feel like it's discombobulating for us in midlife to then be like, oh, hang on a minute. Actually, what's important for me to be thriving in this part of my life and beyond is to internally define the things that, you know, who I am on the inside, not with the external labels. And I just feel like, I don't know, if you have identified very strongly career-wise, because I definitely have done that, when your needs change in terms of how you need to show that identity, then it's like, well, who the F am I now? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, who do I want to be? And who do I get to be? That's the other thing. It's like, what do I actually believe is possible? Like, I don't have an issue with turning, like I turned 50 in about 9 months. 9, 10, I don't know, whatever we're up to. January next year, anyway. And I've started to kind of, like, a lot of people around me have had big kind of, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing 50 things for my 50th year. And I don't have a feeling like I want to do that, but I don't feel uncomfortable about turning 50. But I also am noticing internally that I've got these stories about, oh, I can't do that now. And I'm like, what the actual, like, who said, like, whose story is that? What? Please discuss, because this
is really interesting. I've recently read an amazing book that is written by Dr. Becca Levy, and it was actually recommended to me by one of my summit guests on my past summit, Rachel Lancaster. And this really sums it up in a nutshell, what I read in this book. Have you read it?
No, I haven't, but it was recommended to me by Ashton Applewhite, who's an anti-ageism activist, and I still haven't read it, so thank you for the nudge.
Really interesting. Really interesting, because we have what we call stereotypes, age stereotypes, which of what we perceive different stereotypes are in aging, whether we become more limited, or whether we have memory loss, or whether we, you know, all these different stereotypes, which then apparently influences our implicit bias around aging, which is the perceived way that a particular group of people behave, and whether we like that particular group of people or not. We see this a lot with racism, with culture, with gender. We see it a lot, but it also happens around aging. So, and then we've got also the structural bias, which is influenced by the implicit bias, which also influences the implicit bias.
I know, it's like a vicious circle of feeding each other.
No, which is how society views aging, and how organizations view aging, and the kind of policies and practices that they have around aging, which leads us to choose to say things like, I can't do that now because I'm this age.
Yes. Which is absolutely ridiculous. And as you're talking, like, I think the way that Ashton was talking about that book that really stayed with me, and it's pretty much what you're saying, but she just used, like, Ashton's quite, like, you know, she's like very like pointed in the way that she gets across information, which I love. I love direct communicators. And she basically said, it is your beliefs about aging that impact how well you age. And I was like,
it is massive.
Okay. My mind has just been blown. And so then, because I always thought, I've spoken about this on the podcast before, my dad was 55 when I was born. So I have always been around significantly older people. And my reference point of aging has always been a very fit, very engaged, very positive, very active, and very mobile and independent. You know, he was 91. When he died, he was 91, and he was driving all the way up to having that stroke at 91. Like, he was delivering my kids to daycare at 87. Like, that's, you know, how.
Wow.
And so that was my reference point. And so I just believed that that's how I was going to age. And then menopause comes along and it's just been a shit show sometimes. And I'm like, I don't want to be someone who's not mobile and not independent and not. And so I've found my expectations and belief systems have kind of jarred against what has been my physical reality. But I also understand that as I move to post-menopause, that will, you know, tend to right itself as well. But I just think it is like ageism is such a, like, I do it to younger people, people do it to older people. Like, I just had coffee with a friend who I just played hooky this morning. It was so fun. I was supposed to be doing design work for a client. But anyway, and we're sitting out in the sun. We went to my friend's dress shop, and my friend Tammy is this amazing, sparkly, I don't know, mid-50-year-old. She acts like she's 20, super positive. And she's got this, you know, little tiny country town, and she's got all of these amazing, colorful, like fun clothes. And so she has dressed our entire town of, you know, all sorts of different ages in all this beautiful, colorful, vibrant, you know, personality filled clothing.
Yeah.
But the friend that I was with, who's just turned 32, picked up this really cool cardigan that had all these like stars and stripes and whatever. And she's like, oh, I just don't think I can get away with that anymore. And I was like, shut the front door. Stop that bullshit right now, because I am literally 18 years older than you. And who said? Whose belief is that?
Exactly.
And she's like, that's a very good question. And but it's like, because it's a bias, it's so ingrained in us that sometimes we don't even notice that we're doing it. We don't.
And this is the thing, like sometimes those unconscious biases actually go against the grain of what we consciously believe.
Correct.
So it's really interesting. You know, beliefs like, oh, I'm this age, so I need to cut my hair short, or, you know, this sort of stuff. It's really interesting.
Which makes no sense.
No, I know.
Say this shit out loud. I am actually taken all the way back to also when I was doing mindset training, and there's many different ways that beliefs create reality, but one of the main ones is that there's a little filtering system in our brain that, you know, takes in all of these literally millions of pieces of stimulus every second, and we distort, generalize, or delete depending on what we expect to see. So if we expect to see more evidence that at a certain age everyone cuts their hair, guess what? We actually filter our reality for only the people that have got short hair. And we don't even notice people like you that have got luscious long locks. And who said that in the first place? It's ridiculous. I want to actually go to what you just prefaced before, because I actually said to you before we started recording, I hear congratulations.
Yeah.
And you said, and this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Oh yes, engaged at 61. And I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? So can you share a bit about that? Because it feels like maybe, is it your internal belief about that, or is it kind of like external expectations that you expect to get?
I think for me, engaged at 61 is, okay, guys, it is possible. You know, for me, it's
potential painting.
Yeah, potential. But interesting to notice actually both of my sons' response. So before we went to New Zealand, I called a family meeting on Zoom because I wanted to, they're all in different areas. So I wanted to tell them all at the same time. And the girls were straight away, oh, congratulations, that's great news. The boys were all giggly. It's like they didn't know what to say. They were happy, but they were all giggly and didn't know what to say. And
interesting
reaction, isn't it? So for me, I'm thinking, oh, you know what? It's like I'm their mum and I've been single for all of these years. And it's like for them, it's probably, and we were talking about identity here, because this is something I've had to really explore within myself as well, is mum's probably always been a single woman, and maybe mums don't get engaged, or again, it's those biases, right? I haven't actually asked them about this, but it's sort of like, oh, what was going on for them right then? Because they love my partner, they get on really well with him, and they're obviously happy, but it was kind of like, oh, what was going on for them? And I'm really going to ask them about it. What was going on for them?
Interesting to explore, hey, because maybe it is as simple as mum in my head is in a particular kind of mold or way of being or identity or whatever, like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And now she's saying, actually, I'm saying no to part of that identity that has been assigned, however that's happened.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because, of course, their care for you as a human being is like, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
really happy.
Yeah. It just makes me, as we're talking, it's one of these conversations where I'm like, well, what else am I believing to be true that is actually limiting my ability to live the way that I want, or my ability to let other people live the way that they want without my judgment or without my story about their wrongness or rightness or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky thing, right? Because our brains are, I mean, they're made to judge, and we've made judging negative, but really judgment just means discerning, something is this category or that category. And we do need to do that to process lots and lots and lots of information at a time. But it's like what is happening at an unconscious level that is limiting how I see. Oh, goodness gracious. I feel like we could go down 68 different rabbit holes.
I know, we could, because it's really so interesting. And even, like I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be engaged. But then after the idea settled for a while, it was kind of like, I've written an article about this. It was kind of like, something feels a bit uncomfortable here, like what's going on? And you know what coaches are like, they coach themselves. It's kind of like
to the point where I'm like, stop it. Please stop, make it stop.
I thought, what is this about? And again, maybe this was influencing what I thought was going on for my kids, but for me, I realized it was like, oh my God, I've been single for the best part of 27 years. It's kind of like, this is right out of my comfort zone.
Yes. Yes. I want to ask a follow-up question, and please feel okay to go, actually, I don't want to go down that track. But my mind is wanting me to ask, as you're getting used to being engaged, and obviously at some stage there will be a wedding. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Have you noticed anything else that's popping up that's like, here's what I'd love to do for a wedding, but that's not appropriate for someone getting married in their 60s?
Yeah, it's kind of, have I thought it's not appropriate? Oh, yes, actually, yes. Because my natural inclination is to wear a white dress, right?
Yes.
And then that thought came in of, but that's what first-time brides wear. It's kind of like, that's probably not appropriate. But then on further exploration, I thought, no, white is the wise woman's color.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes. Exactly. And more than that, if I freaking well want to wear white, I can wear white.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But lots of things along that line of, is that dress appropriate for a woman of my age? I have gone down, and I'm a trained personal stylist, but still, I've gone down that track a little bit. So it's interesting, isn't it?
See, I look back, I've been married 24 years, just 24 years actually, just ticked over beginning of May. And I look back at how and where and what we decided to do for our wedding, and it was absolutely 1000% to meet other people's expectations. Like, we got married in a massive Catholic church. Am I a practicing Catholic? No. Is my husband a practicing Catholic? No. But certain people wanted there to be a Catholic wedding. It was important to other people, and I felt not strong enough in any other direction to kind of really stand my ground.
Yeah.
And we had 135 people there, about 50 of which I'd never met before.
Wow.
But that was because there was the done thing and I'm not going to go into too many details because I don't want to offend anyone, but you know, the done thing was that all of these relatives needed to be there, like every single one of these people, even if I'd never met them. And yeah, I just think if I was choosing to commit to someone, you know, getting married now, it would be on a beach, no shoes, no big foofy. Like my dress was like one of those toilet doll dresses.
It was like a meringue, was it?
Oh my God. So bad. Like so bad. So not me. Like I'm not a fancy person. Like I don't. Anyway, I think that then I was being colored with expectations of how you do this getting married thing. Yeah. So we're almost having the same conversation. It's just that the expectations that we feel we need to meet are different because of the different circumstances.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's very, very interesting. But yeah, it's kind of like, I haven't gone down that track of thinking about what other people want. I've just gone, no, we're going to get married on the beach. Yeah. Definitely. I always said that if ever I got married again, which I didn't think would ever happen, it would be on the beach. So that's where it is.
Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week, copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip, energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard, real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. Interesting. Even because you're saying you didn't think it was going to happen somewhere, you must have believed that it was a possibility, because otherwise it wouldn't have got through the filtering system, right?
That's
or maybe your partner just snuck under your radar. Maybe you just popped up. It's so funny, isn't it? I'm interested when you're working with a client on these like identity issues. Is there particular patterns that can really stand in our way? Like what I was talking about with my marriage then, well, not marriage, wedding, was very people pleasing, like a very, I'm just going to go along with, just keep the peace and whatever. Is that something that still plays out strongly when people are trying to look at that identification? Because it's like, this is what I've always done. I've always done something that is meeting someone else's expectation or whatever. Does that play out for people?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Definitely the overgiving. Overgiving plays out, people pleasing, maybe wanting to change their career and not doing it because they've overly identified with being an accountant or a teacher or whatever it is. And maybe and often feeling like they wouldn't be valued in another role. And it's really quite interesting that it's not the role, it's who we are that brings the value. And it's kind of, and whether we're in that role or in another one, we've still got all those qualities. We've still got all those attributes,
of course,
strengths, all those gifts. But definitely those are big. Those are really big for women, overgiving and people pleasing, and putting other people first. And they really get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm nodding along to every single one of those. One that I would add that I think has been my biggest shifting point and unhooking at this time of my life is putting on the hero's cape and rushing in to solve things for people. Which did two things for me. First of all, great hit of dopamine because you feel like, yay, I'm needed, woohoo. But also distracts you from your own internal, it's like, I don't want to listen internally. I'll go and find something else to put my nose in to distract myself. But I think the good thing about hitting perimenopause and having much less energy and much less tolerance for bullshit, like much more sensitivity to things out of alignment, is that I've been forced to surrender that role because I haven't had the energy to be able to continue to do it. So yay for the blessing. And I do think that that's part of the design, isn't it? Right?
It is. It is. That's what menopause is about.
It's like, let's bring the real you to the fore. Or well, I guess it's a fork in the road though, isn't it? Because there's still a choice whether you do or you try and continue to live like you did in the first half of life. Actually, as you're talking about the shifting roles, I'm reminded, I've been listening a little bit to an interview by Chip Conley, who's the Modern Elder Academy man, and he talks a lot about being like a modern elder in terms of like your midlife is where your curiosity and your wisdom can collide and actually make this like the most magical time of life. If we can break the stereotype of like, as I get older, I'll get slower and more stuck in my ways and less mobile and all of those things. But one of the things that he talks about is that he thinks about the first part of life is when the ego is leading the dance. And then the second half is when the soul gets to actually go, well, this is not about everybody else and times are ticking. So if we're not going to actually do what we're meant to do or what we're being called to do, then, there's an expiration date here. Like you're not, completely... what's that word? Invincible. Like
you're not invincible. And the thing is, if ego continues to get its way, then eventually we end up in a heap. So that we have to listen to our soul. We've got no choice. And soul just goes, okay, I'll just wait. Learn some more lessons.
Exactly. Here we are again in burnout mode. Is she gonna listen? I'm interested what stage of did you start coaching in midlife when you were also in midlife? Like what called you to do the work that you're doing now?
I was 49 when I finally listened to the calling, because apparently I was talking about becoming a life coach much earlier than that, according to my old workmates. Yeah. I'd forgotten about it. And apparently I was talking about it in my late 30s. So, yeah, which is really interesting. But I actually forgot I was talking about it then. I was 49. I was working in an environment where I'd always been the person in any work that I'd done that people came to. If they had a problem, if they wanted to discuss what it is that they wanted to do, or if they needed mediating between them and someone else, it seemed to be me. If they wanted to know how to ask their boss for a raise, it was tended to be me. Yeah. So it was a natural thing for me to do anyway. And I was working in a place where I felt like I'd run out of tools. And what was happening in the workplace, I just felt like I didn't have the right tools. So, and I also was watching one of the people that worked in that workplace, and how when people went in to see her, they might look a bit down or a bit down in the dumps. And then when they came out, they were all lit up and sparkling. And I'm like,
I want what she's having.
What is she doing?
Yeah. Give me the magic pen.
And there it came again, the word life coach. Not that she was one at that stage, but yeah.
That's the potential you were seeing. Yeah.
That's the potential I was seeing. And I just started studying my own business when I was 50.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, because I am 49 right now, and I only restarted my entrepreneurial caper this time at 40, just before I turned 48, I think I was. And similarly, like I actually met a friend that is from my last corporate workplace. Yeah. And she's like, so what are you doing now? And because when I left, I was going back to coaching. That was my intention, because I was like, that's what I've always done. That's what I'm naturally good at, etc. But I also realize now that a lot of that was the hero cape working, because then I can actually look back and go, that's why it was also really draining, because it actually was you again getting your nose in everybody else's business. Right? Anyway, but I said, oh no, I actually am focusing on brand copy and content storytelling now. And she's like, oh, of course you are, because you were always the person that we went to express things in words. And I was like, could you not have told me that like 4 years ago? And then I was talking to friends when I was in New Zealand, and one of them's like, oh, you've always been able to do that though, like capture a feeling in language. And I'm like, again, could nobody have actually told me that this was not something that everyone could do? Because I think that like we often in early life don't see the things that we're naturally good at, because we are driving towards all those external measures of success, right? And then answering the call is tricky.
Really tricky,
especially if we've got all those identities going on. If someone's listening and they have had conversations like we just did, or had that feeling of like, I really am drawn to that, but they're not game enough, I don't know, brave enough yet, I don't know what the language is I want to use, what would you say to them about those types of things that are like, this has come up again, like this is not a new thing for me?
They're actually be hearing the calling again, and it's not new. I would say that it's your intuition calling out, and this stage of life is the time where we really need to listen to our intuition, because a life that's going to bring us joy, that's going to bring fulfillment, is not going to be found in our head, which is where we naturally go to, and it's where I went, and it's where I was going to, even after I was in my coaching business. not listening to that calling, because in my head I was going, oh no, I'm doing this and it works. So yeah, is actually listen to it and to know that there's, in the initial feeling, the initial calling, which is a fraction of a second.
Yes.
Fraction
and you've got to
of
be
a
paying
second.
attention, right?
You've got to be paying attention. There is certainty in that, right?
Yes.
In that fraction of a second. But it's only when our analytical mind starts to get involved that that feeling changes. So,
and that's when the water.
That's when the doubt comes in. That's where the nervousness comes in, and so we do nothing. But to try and tune in to that initial feeling, that's where the certainty is. After that, when the analytical mind comes in, that's where the uncertainty is, right?
Yeah. It's that as you're talking, it's like the initial calling is delivered as like crystal clear truth. And because we have been trained and conditioned our entire lives that figuring things out is what we do in our logical mind, and we, do pros and cons or whatever. And like, I'm talking from I'm a forensic biologist by training, like very left-brained, very black and white, very, this is the answer. There is only one answer. And so for me, I feel like my intuition has been like knocking and now is like, well, like, screaming, because I keep on, I kept on trying to figure things out with my brain. And I didn't realize you were a yoga teacher as well. So I am also, although I'm not allowed to practice at the moment. Anyway, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But it was for me, finally using somatic tools like yoga to get into my body more and more. And also to a lesser extent, like a meditation practice, which I'm still very hit and miss with. But I know that when I take the time to move and then meditate, that's the way that it works for me. Move and meditate, get still, listen. That's the truth. But it was only when I got in my body that I could hear, even that I wasn't with my nose in everybody else's business or up here in my brain. Which is very busy and not very clear on anything, really. Let's face it, it's like mosquitoes up there, but like it's buzzing around. But yeah, it's that somatic tool. And I think that if you're listening and you are not getting that kind of clarity or whatever, like do something that helps you get out of your brain, whatever that is for you. And for some people, it might be like gardening or, being out in the sun or just moving gently or breath work or whatever, like whatever it is. Don't try and access it through your brain, because your brain is just going to give you more doubt and fear and uncertainty, because that's its job.
That's right. That's right.
Protect it.
It's just doing its job. I agree. Absolutely. And that's certainly where I started to make my second midlife transition after my dad passed away, was when I really started to engage with yoga.
Interesting. So what age were you then?
I was 56 then.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're in the stage where you're starting to give more credence to the feeling. So what was it around your dad's passing that like connected you to yoga?
Well, and it's interesting. It was the day after he passed away, I had this intense pain in my left hip. And as I found later, we store emotion in our hips, specifically grief.
Yes, we do. The old trash psoas muscle.
That's right. Exactly. And so I also realized that it had released some old pent-up grief around my mum who passed 30 years ago. So so I actually went to yoga to try and ease that. It was a physical reason that I went to yoga. Wow, did I get a lot more than that?
But again, I always think, like every time I do these interviews, I'm like, this is more evidence that you can trust the timing and how your life unfolds, because you are delivered where you're meant to be if you just kind of open yourself up a little bit. You actually just reminded me of something I haven't thought about for years. Just after my dad died, we sold the property that he lived with us in, and we were moving to the States. We made a decision one weekend to pack up our house and our 2 children and move to the States. So then we sold our house and blah, blah, blah. And we lived in an apartment by the beach, and there happened to be a yoga studio at the bottom of this apartment. And it was the first time I'd practiced, oh my God, now I can't remember what it is, Bikram. So, you know, a set sequence of postures. It's much less flowy and I want to say feminine, but that may not be the right language. But, you know, it's quite militant and it's hot and it's whatever. And I remember one of those postures is going into, I hope I'm remembering this right, but I'm pretty sure it was camel pose. So, you know, very heart open, very exposing. And it was probably about 6 months after my dad died. And I was there just doing a yoga class. And I was overcome with this huge outpouring of grief. So I find myself in this sweaty, military precision yoga class, just like sobbing. And I think that again was one of those moments in time where I was like, the physical and the emotional, and like it's all connected. It's all, you know,
connected. All connected. I have to admit there was a lot of classes where I was in tears in those initial few classes that I went to. But that's what sparked my yoga journey. That's what 12 months later led me to do a teacher training, because I noticed the changes were so incredibly profound. And it was probably 6 months after that I started the next leg of my coaching journey and started focusing more on women in midlife. It's interesting.
Because I have said before that I feel like I found myself for the first time on a yoga mat. So it was the first time that my brain actually shut up long enough for me to actually listen to what was happening further down than my neck. But it doesn't surprise me that the profound, you know, the nudge towards specifically what you're doing now is comes through that movement and awareness. It is profound, and it's such a hard thing to describe to people that have not experienced that. It's like I'm not some crazy woo-woo crystal loving. I do love crystals, let's face it, but you know, like I'm not that far off the spectrum that I'm, you know, always wearing purple and, you know, flowing kaftan 24/7. But for people that are kind of maybe less open to that more alternative, I'm like, just do it for yourself. You're going to meet who you really are. Like, go into it, please. Especially when you feel stuck. We met through you doing your midlife summit, which you mentioned before, and I want to talk about that because it is coming up. So this is going to be out in the time that people can join your midlife summit. So if you're listening and what Deb and I are talking about in terms of midlife reinvention and the re-identification and all of these big themes of transition that happen in midlife, tell us a little bit more about the summit? Because I didn't realize, how many years have you been doing it? I don't think I asked you.
Oh gosh, this is the 8th Women Reinvention Midlife Summit. I started out doing 2 a year, but now I've reduced it to 1 a year. So I started building these summits in 2020.
Wow.
So and the reason I did it was when I heeded that calling, when I actually took action on it, I started to build a community on Facebook for midlife women called the Empowered Midlife Woman. And the interaction that I was seeing in there, bearing in mind this was during the beginning part of lockdown too. So there was a lot of interaction because where menopause and midlife can bring up all our patterns and the things that we need to confront within ourselves, so does lockdown as well. So it was all happening, you know, people were they couldn't distract them. There was nothing to distract them anymore. They couldn't keep out and go. So there was a lot of interaction in the Facebook group and the things that people were talking about. I thought, okay, I need to build a summit. I'd built summits in the past for business, but I'd never built them for midlife women. So I just started to reach out to different speakers and I know the summits are designed to cover all the topics in this phase of life that we want more information about. And we want more knowledge about, we want more insights about. And I always reach out to women who are in midlife or older. So that we've got that guidance coming in from lots of different age groups who've had many, many different experiences, and they all work professionally with women in this phase of life as well. So we cover many different topics: personal relationships, finances, menopause, career, starting a new business. There's a lot of topics that we cover. And I always find that the feedback that I get is always heartwarming, and it inspires me to keep going, because they're a lot of work. Right?
Oh, yeah. No wonder you only do one a year.
That's right.
2 a year makes my eyes water. Actually, I used to do 2 podcasts a week, and I'm like, oh my God, that's enough work, let alone doing an enormous summit and sourcing guests and all of those things. As you're talking though, now that I've been a guest, we got to meet each other, which was very cool. So I found another one of my people. But the thing as you're talking is, what I have found the most challenging in this stage of life is, like, I live in quite a small country town, and I've got a small circle that I see in real life, and all of those people I've only met in the last kind of 4 or 5 years. So it's not like I'm talking to a girlfriend from, from 20 years ago. And for me, I've found it incredibly isolating at times, because particularly when my mental health was the biggest thing that was destabilized by I feel like I'm very much at the pointy end of the transition. And I just feel like my estrogen has reached the plummeting level. But when my mental health has been wobbly, like, where my mind goes is like, I'm not connected to people. I'm isolated. I'm the only one feeling like this, which of course is the voice of your brain trying to, protect you and keep you safe and all of those things. But when you are listening to these summer interviews, and when you're in a community where people are actually being honest about like the brilliant things that happen, like you can hear this internal guidance system better. But also the really bloody hard stuff, like that what you're offering people is the ability to actually be seen and go, oh, okay, it's not just me that feels like that. It's not just me that wants to rip people's faces off. That was like rage. Holy dooly. I'm not in that stage now, thank God. But it's a wonder my husband survived. And my children, actually, because I had 2 teenage girls at that time. They've all moved out. No, my husband hasn't. But we do have a very big shed. But yeah, I think that is the gift of any space where midlife women come together in a truth-talking way, and not in a like, this is the way I'm meant to say that I'm dealing with this and I'm polishing it up and whatever, where we can speak our truth and be really seen and heard and identify with experiences. And like you say, there's so many different ways that people experience this transition, and particularly if it collides with things like losing, grieving a marriage or losing a partner, or like all the big... Well, kids moving out of home, that was like super confronting for me. I didn't expect to be one of those mums, but I was like, it hits you out of the blue, doesn't it? You just, I was the same, because I'd always been ultra focused and, and just, oh my God, this is what they're talking about. Walking past the final child to leave, walking past his bedroom and just bursting into tears. Like I was totally unprepared for that. Yeah, me too, because I always thought, this is again the internal story, I always thought I had enough things that were things that interested me outside of my family that I wouldn't feel like that. And I used to kind of look at people and go, oh, for God's sake, like, get a life. And now I'm like, oh my God, the younger, stupid 30-year-old version of Kylie. Not stupid, but unaware. Yes. And I just think that is such a gift when you can, hear from people at the same life stage. But as you said, people like you that are actually well past this messy hormonal end of things, or I'm making an assumption, but I think my biggest like motivations to just get on the other side eventually, whenever that will happen, is people that are postmenopausal going, you know what, it actually does get better. It does get better. Things get more even and you feel less discombobulated and less like, who the hell am I? And more like, you know, sure of yourself, etc. I have hung on to those conversations so hard sometimes. So yeah, thank you. And we will put the links to the Midlife Summit down below. So when is the first interview out? So that, because
Okay, so the summit launches on the 24th of June, the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit, and after that it comes out an interview each day. So you get a new interview each day, and you get 48 hours to listen to that or watch that interview. It's on video as well. And all the speakers are giving gifts during the summit as well, and the whole thing is free, which is what I really wanted to create, a free resource. So
generosity is such a beautiful thing, isn't it? Feels good to give and receive.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Thank you. You have been a joy. I knew this was going to be a beautiful chat. Holy moly, we have run the gamut, haven't we? We've talked about ageism, we've talked about identity, we've talked about people pleasing, etc., roles that we put ourselves in, and we've talked about the transition. And I would love for you to check in with your sons about that response, just to see what was behind it. Because it's interesting when you have those conversations, because the people that have that response are also probably not aware of what's actually going on under the surface. Like, why was that my response?
Interesting. Absolutely.
Learning opportunity.
And I do have the relationship with them where I can ask them that sort of thing. So, but I'll probably get, I don't know, because like you say, they're not aware of it themselves.
Exactly. At least by asking, we might bring it to the surface.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at least an awareness that was the unconscious reaction.
Yeah.
Anyway. Thank you so much. I really encourage people to go and sign up for the Midlife Summit, because you will be able to by the time this interview is out, which is perfect timing. So that was not meant to be, but there you go. It was obviously meant to be.
Obviously.
So thank you so much, Deb, for your generosity. It's been a lovely, lovely chat.
Thank you, Kylie. And thank you for providing a platform like this where we can have these really important conversations.
Yeah. Truth talking, real and raw. That was the two things that I wanted to do.
It certainly is that.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kylie. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. And if you enjoyed this ep, please share it with another midlife friend, or take the opportunity to go and rate and review the show on your favorite listening platform. All of these things really help us to reach more women in midlife. Now, I don't know if you know, but I am both a storyteller who helps healers and helpers capture and communicate their work through the magic of storytelling. And I'm a midlife self-care coach who is super passionate about helping other women reframe perimenopause and midlife as a powerful and purposeful time of transformation. To find out more about me and my work, you can head to Instagram at Kylie Patchett, or my website, kpcreative.com.au, and that is kpcreative.com.au, and you will find all of those links in the show notes. Have a spectacular day, and may you be setting yourself wild and finally fucking free.